Hello, my bookish friends. Welcome back. I'm Elizabeth. This is Reading Riley, and this is it. This is the video. This is the most anticipated, my most anticipated books in Q3 of 2025. That's July, August, and September. I'm going to tell you about these books in order of release date. So we will start with July, work our way through September. I have 40 books to talk to you about. I repeat, 40 books, 40. Most of the books we're going to talk about today are thriller, horror, a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of speculative, and then maybe a couple just random ones that I thought sounded good, but we're mostly staying in that vein. I will also add the links to Goodreads below so that you can easily find it. It's summer, so this is like the it time for book releases. The comp titles are hitting me so hard. Like you will see, they are what are sucking me in now. I'll also pop up the cover here with the release date so that you can take a screenshot if that's easier if you're watching on your phone. Starting on July 1st, we have Party of Liars. This is by Kelsey Cox. I've not read from this author before, but this sucked me in because it's set in Texas, and I live in Texas. A Sweet 16 party turns deadly in this twisty, pulse-pounding new novel, serving up a fresh take on a classic locked room whodunit. Let the festivities begin. I love a locked room mystery, love a whodunit. This is 336 pages. It's listed under thriller, mystery, mystery thriller fiction. Today is Sophie Matthews' 16th birthday, an exclusive black tie bash in the heart of the Texas Hill Country.
Rich people drama.
Sophie's dad has spared no expense for this party. They're hosting it in their renovated cliffside mansion that was once thought to be haunted. Just before the candles are blown out, a body falls from the balcony onto the starlit dance floor below. Oh, the drama. Everyone will get in, but they will not all get out alive. This is reminding me of The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Sounds like something that would be fun to read in the summertime. Moving on to July 8th, we have a new novel from Clemence, Michellon, which I'm probably mispronouncing, apologies, called Our Last Resort. This author wrote The Quiet Tenant, which I really loved. I gave it 5 stars. It was like a thriller, but deeper. It felt more moving. This one's set in Utah. We're following Frida and Gabriel, who arrive seeking a fresh start at the stunning Aura Hotel in the secluded desert of Escalante, Utah. And I can't tell if they're brother and sister or if they're a couple. They once were able to finish each other's sentences, but they've grown apart in recent years after a sudden, unspeakable tragedy. And now at this lush resort, they are here to reconnect. But everything doesn't go as planned when the dead body of a beautiful woman who was vacationing at the Aura with her much older, powerful husband is discovered. So the police arrive and suspicion falls on Gabriel. Frida is then forced to revisit moments in their past. It says memories from their upbringing, so I'm guessing they're brother and sister in a cloistered cult in upstate New York. Oh, and their dramatic escape and the scandal that followed. Frida's belief in Gabriel's innocence never wavered at the time, but now even she can't ignore the evidence that's mounting against him. It says it's alternating between past and present timelines, builds toward a shattering climax that uncovers the fate of the murdered Aura guest and poses the question, how well do we really know those who we love? On July 8th, we have How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold. This one seems kind of cool because it's like a book within a book, or like a book about authors writing, so it becomes a little bit meta in a sense. There's this legendary horror author, Mortimer Queen, and he passes away. And that group of writers are invited to his estate for the last will and testament reading, and they're all thinking that he's giving them some fortune, you know, so they show up there. They're invited to play a game. I love a game. The rules are simple: solve the riddle and progress to the next room. If they don't, the manor will take one of them for itself. The Queen estate was built on the bones of Mortimer's family, and like any true horror story, the house is still very, very hungry. With the clever locked room thrills of everyone in my family has killed someone and the ghostly horror of the fall of the House of Usher, How to Survive a Horror Story is a bright, biting thrill ride that begs us to contemplate how the best horror stories come to be. Can't wait. Sounds great. 368 pages. Horror, mystery, thriller, adult. Next on July 8th, we have, this one's kind of a genre bender. It does have a little bit of a time travel element to it, so sci-fi, but also mystery, fantasy, historical fiction, a little bit of everything in this. It sounded good. It's called The Frozen People by Emily Griffiths. All right, this one's 304 pages. We're following Allie Dawson, and she is on a cold case team of like detectives. But the twist here is that they can travel back in time to collect evidence. They can like look around, see what happened, and get more evidence than they would have had otherwise. For their latest assignment, they traveled back farther than they ever have, and Allie found herself in 1850s London to clear the name of Kane Templeton, an eccentric patron of the arts. Rumor has it that Kane is part of a group, an underground group called the Collectors. Allie arrives in the Victorian era to another dead woman at her feet and far too many unanswered questions. Again, on July 8th, we have another big hitter. We have a new Ruth Ware, a continuation or a follow-up of the Woman in Cabin 10, which is one of her older ones. Really interesting she's come back to this one. I guess that one was pretty popular though, so it makes sense. In this one, we're following the same main character from the Woman in Cabin 10, but we're following her in current day after she's gone through some life things. So I don't think any of this is actually going to spoil the Woman in Cabin 10. Her name is Lo Blacklock. We are following her again at the opening of a luxury hotel, hence Suite 11, not Cabin 10. She's in a hotel this time, only to find herself in a white-knuckled race across Europe. So she's a journalist and she gets an invitation to the opening of this hotel, luxury Swiss hotel owned by reclusive billionaire Marcus Liedman. So she's ready to reestablish her journalism career after the pandemic. She goes to find Marcus's room, and when she gets there, she comes face to face with a woman claiming to be his mistress who is in life or death jeopardy and needs her help. What follows is a thrilling cat and mouse pursuit across Europe, forcing Lo to ask herself just how much she's willing to sacrifice to save this woman and if she can even trust her. 400 pages, mystery, thriller, fiction, adult suspense. Next, we're going to move on to July 15th, horror, science fiction, adult fiction, dystopia, fantasy, zombies. This one's going to be interesting. It's 352 pages, and it's called One Yellow Eye by Leigh Radford. This is a take on the classic zombie story. We're following a brilliant scientist who desperately searches for a cure after a devastating epidemic, while also hiding a monumental secret, her undead husband. Having always preferred to be in the company of microbes, British scientist Kesta Shelley has spent her life peering through a microscope rather than cultivating personal relationships. She's reminding me of Elizabeth Zott off the bat. That changed when Kesta met Tim, her cheerleader, her best friend, her absolute everything. When he was one of the last people in London to be infected with a perplexing virus that has left the city ravaged, Kesta went into triage mode. Although the government rounded up and disposed of all of the infected, Kesta is able to keep her husband unalive and hidden, using resources from the hospital where she works at. She spends her days reviewing biopsy slides and her evenings caring for him, but he is clearly declining. The sedatives that she's been giving him aren't working like they used to be. He's having violent outbursts, and the people at work are starting to notice that she's not looking well. Her health is declining. A top secret lab is working on a cure, and Kesta is determined to get herself in on that so that she can save her husband. But the clock is ticking. Will she have enough time? This sounds really good. I'm excited for this one. July 15th. Next, we have Girl in the Creek by Wendy and Wagner. This is horror, mystery thriller, science fiction as well, and paranormal, 272 pages. It's an atmospheric and eerie story about a Pacific Northwest forest that seems to be devouring all who enter. It's a perfect read for fans of T. Kingfisher and Jeff Vandermeer's Cli-Fi cosmic horror. Count me in, sounds amazing. Clackamas National Forest has always been a sanctuary for evil, human and alien. The shadows of looming trees and long abandoned mines shelter poachers and serial killers alike. Then there's the ruined hotel in the outskirts of the picturesque small town Faraday, Oregon, nestled in the foothills of Mount Hood. The one drowning in mushrooms and fungus not even the local expert can identify. Oh, not to mention the stacks of missing persons cases. Freelance writer Erin Harper arrives in Faraday to find out what happened to her brother, whose disappearance in the forest has haunted her for years. But somebody else goes missing, and when Erin finds her in the creek, she goes missing again. She vanishes, this time from the morgue. Days later, her fingerprints show up at a murder scene. Maybe it's a serial killer, or maybe it's the spores infecting the forest and those lost inside. Erin must find answers quickly before anyone else goes missing, but she might be next. Sounds pretty good. I'm interested. July 15th. Again on July 15th, we have This Stays Between Us by Sara Ochs. This is a thriller mystery set in Australia, and it's 416 pages, a little bit on the longer side. This seems like a pretty classic thriller setup 10 years ago and today. I don't know if it's actually going to be in dual timeline, but it says 10 years ago, 6 college students meet in the Australian summer study abroad, ready to enjoy a break from their studies and relax and travel the country. Their program is meant to introduce them to the beauty of Australia and immerse them in an unforgettable cultural experience. When Phoebe, a troubled girl with jealousies, suddenly disappears. Presumed to have run away in a small outback town, the group decides to pack up and leave the past behind, and leave her behind, it sounds like. All of their secrets hidden for good, or at least that's what they tell themselves. 10 years later, they each receive a call. They have found Phoebe's body, and now it's time to return to Australia. Each of the friends is summoned back, confronted with their past selves and the brutal heat and sting of that summer. The police have questions, and the secrets they've been keeping buried deep in the outback start to slowly unearth. And once again, one of them might not make it out alive. Pretty classic, but sounds like a good summer read. Next on July 15th, we have House of Beth, which I love because it has my name in it. A haunting and seductive tale of a young career woman who slides quickly into the role of stepmother in a life that may still belong to someone else. This is horror, it's queer, it's gothic literary fiction, 240 pages. That's right in the sweet spot for me. This could be like a ghost story. It could be a potential unreliable narrator and not a ghost story, but it does say it's a haunting tale nonetheless. After a heart-wrenching breakup and a shocking incident at her job as an overworked assistant at a literary agency, Cassie retreats to her hometown in New Jersey along the Delaware River. There she reconnects with her high school best friend Elly, who is a widowed father of 2, and their bond reignites. Within a few months, Cassie finds herself trading in her life in the city, her bustling New York City life, for a life of homeschooling, nature walks, and cooking lessons with her reserved neighbor, Joan. But Cassie's fresh start is anything but peaceful. She grapples with self-harm, OCD, and her mind is haunted by graphic and gory images. In their secluded house nestled in the woods, she tries to find solace. But the shadow of Beth, Eli's late spouse, a committed homemaker and traditional wife, looms large, permeating every corner of their home, from the decor to the rhythms of daily life. And soon Cassie starts hearing a voice narrating the house's secrets. This mysterious presence grows stronger, guiding Cassie down a path to uncover the truth about Beth's untimely death. This sounds like it could be really good. Next on July 15th, we have Matchmaking for Psychopaths. This sounds like it's going to add a little bit of levity to our list here. This is by Tasha, Coryell. 336 pages, categorized under mystery, thriller, adult fiction, mystery, thriller, horror. This one seems kind of like a Killing Eve situation. We're following Alexandra, says she grew up hungry for food, for love, for safety, which is why she's worked so hard to have all of that. And she's got a beautiful home, a gorgeous doctor boyfriend, an ambitious job matchmaking individuals with unconventional emotional responses. She has a matchmaking business for psychopaths, which I think is amazing. Sure, her clients may sit somewhere on the psychopathy scale, but they're not the murderous, dangerous kind. They're doctors, lawyers, teachers, and everyone deserves love, which I completely agree. And that's exactly what she thinks she's found. So she's floored when she comes home to find her boyfriend and her best friend sitting at the dinner table together, waiting for her on her birthday dinner to tell her that they are now together. Her world just falls apart. She's lost everything, both of her support systems, her best friend and her boyfriend. But then she meets Rebecca, who seems like a lifeline. She's gonna be her new friend. She's caring, she's kind, she's there for her throughout all this. But when people start dying around her, she can't help but wonder if this new friendship is a match made in hell. On July 22nd, we have Volatile Memory by Seth Haddon, sci-fi fantasy queer novella. The comp titles for this are Ex Machina, meets This Is How You Lose the Time War. I have not yet read This Is How We Lose the Time War, but I understand the gist of what it's about, so it sounds really interesting. With nothing but a limping ship and an outdated mask to her name, Wyla needs a big payday. When the call goes out that a lucrative piece of tech is waiting on a nearby planet, she relies on all of the swiftness of her prey animal instincts to beat the hunters to it. This part is in italics. What you found wasn't your ticket out. It was my corpse wearing an AI mask. When you touched the mask, you heard my voice. A consciousness spinning through the metal and circuits, a bodiless mind, spun to life in the Ochs temporary storage. I crystallized and I was alive. Masks aren't supposed to retain memory, much less identity, but the woman inside the Mark I Hawk is real, and she sees Wyla in a way that no one ever has, sees her and doesn't find her wanting or unwhole. Armed with military-grade tech and a lifetime of staying one step ahead of the hunters, Wyla and Hawk set off to get answers from the man who discarded Hawk once before, her ex-husband. Next, on July 22nd, we have a new one by Holly Jackson called Not Quite Dead Yet. 400 pages. This is categorized under mystery, thriller, young adult. In 7 days, Jet Mason will be dead. Jet is the daughter of one of the wealthiest families in Woodstock, Vermont, 27 years old, and she's still waiting for her life to begin. I'll do it later, she always says. She has time. Until Halloween night, when Jet is violently attacked by an unseen intruder. She suffers a catastrophic head injury, and the doctor is certain that within a week, the injury will trigger a deadly aneurysm. Jet has never thought of herself as having enemies, but now she looks at everyone in a new light. Her family, her former best friend, her sister-in-law, her ex-boyfriend. She has at most 7 days, and as her condition deteriorates, she has only her childhood friend Billy for help, but nevertheless, she's absolutely determined to finally finish something. She is going to solve her own murder. So that's a really captivating premise. It is 400 pages, so it's on the longer side, but sounds really good. I might have to dive into some Holly Jackson. On July 22nd as well, we have Mayra, I think this is pronounced, or I don't know if it's Mayra or Mayra, I guess, by Nicky Gonzalez. I don't know this author, but this sounded really interesting and kind of creepy. It's categorized under gothic fiction, adult, contemporary, horror, and literary. It's 240 pages. An eerie, hypnotic debut, that's right, it's a debut, about friendship, desire, and memory set against the sultry backdrop of Florida's swamplands. And let me tell you, Florida's swamplands are not to be messed with. Florida's already too much, but the swamplands, you don't want to mess with that. It's been years since Ingrid has heard from her childhood best friend, Mayra, a fearless rebel who fled their hometown of Hialeah, a Cuban neighborhood just outside of Miami, for college in the Northeast. But when Mayra calls out of the blue to invite Ingrid to a weekend getaway at a house in the Everglades, she impulsively accepts. From the moment Ingrid sets out on this trip, danger looms. Everything goes wrong. She has no cell service. Directions are difficult. And as she drives deeper into the Everglades, the wet maw of the swamp threatens to swallow her whole. Once Ingrid arrives, Mayra is in many ways just as she was when they were kids, with her sharp tongue and effortless, seductive beauty, still thumbing her nose at the world. But before they can settle into their familiar intimacy of each other's company, their reunion is spoiled by the reemergence of past disagreements and the unexpected presence of Mayra's boyfriend, Benji. The trio spent their hours eating lavish meals and exploring the labyrinthine house, which holds as much mystery and danger as the swamp itself. Ingrid begins to lose a sense of the outside world and herself. Gonzalez weaves a surreal, unforgettable story about the dizzying power of early friendship and the lengths we'll go to earn love and acceptance, even at the risk of losing ourselves entirely. This could be really good. Moving on to July 29th, we have a new Shari Lapena. She didn't see it coming. I've had this Shari Lapena or Lapena, I'm not sure how she pronounces it. She is a solid mystery thriller author. She tends to gear more towards like a suspense and domestic stuff. This is categorized under mystery thriller, suspense, Adult psychological thriller, very psychological as well, 352 pages. So let's see what this one's about. When a beloved wife and mother disappears, a luxurious condo building transforms into a potential crime scene, and the investigation begins, but can the detectives find her before it's too late? We're following Bryden and Sam. And they have it all. Thriving careers, a smart apartment. I have a feeling that's going to have something to do with this. Otherwise, why would they mention a smart apartment? In a luxury condominium, supportive friends, and a cherished daughter. The perfect life for the perfect couple. Then Sam receives a phone call at his office. Bryden, who had been working from home that day, had failed to collect their daughter from daycare. So he arrives home with the little girl and finds his wife's car in the underground garage. In their apartment, her laptop is open on the table, her cell phone nearby, and her keys are in their usual place in the hall. Except Bryden is nowhere to be seen. It's as if she just walked out. Something tells me that that is purposefully short, that there's much more to the story. And that's it for July. Oh my goodness. So let's move on to August. And starting on August 5th, we have The Dead Husband Cookbook. This is a novel by Danielle Valentine. She has the recipe for the perfect murder. That's the tagline. That sounds good. This is classified under thriller, mystery, horror, and adult fiction, and it's 352 pages. We are following a woman, Maria Capello, and she is a legendary chef like no other, a household name, an inspiration, an icon. She has dozens of cookbooks. She has a weekly television show that's broadcast from her beautiful Italian-style kitchen, not to mention her line of best-selling supermarket sauces, can't miss that, and of course, there's her history. Once just the timid wife of famous chef Damien Capello. She stepped into the spotlight after Damien's mysterious disappearance 20 years before, and she has never spoken publicly about this until now, when it's announced that she is looking for a publisher for her memoirs. This is giving a lot. It's giving a Riley Sager, it's giving Evelyn Hugo, it's giving a lot right now. Why is Maria willing to finally break her silence? Why does she turn down 7-figure offers from large publishing houses and sign up with a small press? And why does she do this on the condition that it is edited by Thea Woods? Thea is a lifelong fan, but she's never met Maria and she can't figure it out. Plus, she had been planning to hand in her notice that very day. But when she is invited to Maria's remote farm to work on the manuscript, she can't resist. After all, she may finally learn whether the rumors are true that Maria killed Damien for his recipes and the legendary secret ingredient. A deliciously rich thriller, perfect for readers of Bella Mackey's How to Kill Your Family and Alexa Casales' The Best Way to Bury Your Husband. Again, on August 5th, we have Tantrum by Rachel Eve Moulton. In this electric horror novel from the author of The Insatiable Volt Sisters, an exhausted mother thinks her newborn might be a monster, and she's right. This is a shorter one, 192 pages, a novella, and it's categorized under horror fiction, contemporary adult thriller. We're following another Thea. Her third pregnancy was her easiest. She wasn't consumed with anxiety about the baby. She wasn't convinced that it was going to be born green or have a third eye or have tentacles sprouting from its torso. Thea was fine and her baby would be fine. But when the nurses handed Lucia to her, Thea just knew. Her baby girl was a monster. Not only was Lucia born with a full set of teeth and a devilish glint in her eye, but she's always hungry, indiscriminately so. Lucia pointed at her baby brother, looked at Thea dead in the eye, and said, "I eat." Thea doesn't know whether to be terrified or proud of her rapacious baby girl. And as Lucia starts growing faster and talking more, dark memories bubble to the surface, flashes from Thea's own childhood that won't release their hooks from her heart.
Was she like this when she was a baby?
Lucia wants to eat the world, and Thea might just let her. Crackling with originality and dark humor, Rachel Eve Moulton's Tantrum is a provocative exploration of familial debt, duty, and the darker side of motherhood. 192 pages. Again, on August 5th, we have a new Sara Pekkanen. Sara Pekkanen sometimes writes with Greer Hendricks, and I think she sometimes writes by herself as well, and this one is by herself. It's called The Locked Ward. Was it bitter, all-consuming jealousy, pathological sibling rivalry, or pure insanity? This is categorized under thriller, mystery, fiction, psychological suspense, and it's 320 pages. Whatever the cause, and everyone has a theory. It's the crime of the decade when glamorous Georgia Cartwright, who was adopted as a newborn, is accused of killing the biological daughter of her wealthy Southern family. Georgia is locked in a psychiatric institution where the most violent offenders are held while she awaits trial. The only words she whispers when her estranged twin sister Amanda visits are, "I didn't do it. You've got to get me out of here." So she has a twin sister. Are they both adopted then? Amanda doesn't trust Georgia, but she can't abandon her in a place so eerie and menacing that it seems to exist in another dimension. Is Georgia the victim of a powerful family that is so depraved murder is the least of their crimes? Or is Amanda being led down a path of madness into the web of a master manipulator? Nothing is as it seems in Sarah Pekkinen's The Locked Ward, a shocking psychological thriller about the complex bonds of sisterhood and what happens when they are stretched to the breaking point. Next on August 5th, we have This Is My Body by Lindsay King-Miller. It's a gripping, emotional, and darkly funny queer horror novel about family trauma and possession for fans of Rachel Harrison and Katrina Ward. It's 320 pages and it's classified under horror, queer fiction, LGBT, adult horror, thriller. We're following single gay mom Bridget, and she's always thought that cutting ties with her extremist Catholic family was the best thing she could have done for her daughter Dylan and for herself. But when Dylan starts having terrifying fits of unnatural violence, Bridget can't shake the memories of a girl from her childhood who behaved the same way until Bridget's uncle, Father Agnes, performed an exorcism. Convinced that her daughter is suffering from a demonic possession, she does the thing that she told herself she would never do, and she goes back home. And Father Agnes, her uncle, is the worst person that she knows, but he also may be the only person who knows how to help her in this situation. But as Bridget starts to uncover secrets about Father Agnes, that long ago exorcism, and her family's past, she realizes that she and Dylan have never been in more danger. Says it's a piercing journey into religious trauma and childhood shame, building towards a heart-pounding, twisty climax that will spin your head all the way around. That one sounds interesting. Love a religious trauma story, especially when it's queer. We're gonna move on to the 12th of August, and we're going to talk about We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter. This was in my last release video, if you remember, but it got pushed back. So we're gonna talk about it again, because this is gonna be released now on August 12th, as I said. This is the first in a new series by Karen Slaughter. This is the author of Pretty Girls, and it's really exciting for me to be able to get in on one of her series from the beginning, so I don't have all the catch-up work to do. So I am excited for this. She's an awesome thriller writer. She really gets deep down into her character work, and she really makes you feel for these characters, and she's also not afraid to like go dark, which is why I love her. So it's called the North Falls series. The North Falls is a small town where everyone knows everyone, or so they think, until the night of the fireworks, when two teenage girls vanish and the town ignites. For Officer Emmy Clifton, it's personal. She turned away when her best friend's daughter needed help, and now she must bring her home. But as Emmy combs through the puzzle that the girls left behind, she realizes that she never really knew them. No one did. Every teenage girl has secrets. But who would kill for them? And what else is this town hiding? This is 448 pages and is categorized under thriller, mystery, crime, suspense, fiction. Let's move on again to August 12th. We have a new Chuck Tingle called Lucky Day. Chuck Tingle writes queer erotica, but he's also recently moved into queer horror as well. And I have not read his erotica, but I love his horror, so I'm very excited for this one. This again is horror, queer, fantasy, science fiction. Okay, so we're doing some genre bending. Love this. 240 pages, right in the sweet spot. It's called Lucky Day. We're following Vera, who is a survivor of a global catastrophe known as the low probability event. Once a passionate professor of statistics, she no longer finds meaning in anything at all. But when problematic government agent Leigh knocks on her door, she is the only one who can help him uncover the connection between deadly spates of absurdity and an improbably lucky casino. What is happening in Vegas isn't staying there, and the world is at risk of another disaster. When it comes to Chuck Tingle, the only thing more terrifying than a serious horror novel is an absurd one. I can't wait to read this. Again, on August 12th, we have a new novel from Samantha Downing, who is a thriller writer that I really enjoy. It's called I'm Too Old for This, and we're following a retired serial killer. So already I'm in. It is categorized under thriller, mystery fiction, adult suspense, and it's 400 pages, so this one's a little bit longer as well. Lottie Jones thought her crimes were behind her. Decades earlier, she changed her identity and tucked herself away in a small town. Her most exciting nights are the weekly bingo games at the local church and gossiping with her friends. When investigative journalist Plum Dixon shows up, asking questions about Lottie's past and specifically her involvement with numerous cases, unsolved cases, Lottie just can't have that. But getting away with murder is hard enough when you're young, and when Lottie receives another annoying knock at the door, she realizes this crime might just be the death of her. Again, on August 12th, we have What Hunger by Katherine Dang. Also kind of giving the eyes of the best part to me, so we'll see. So it's 288 pages, horror fiction, contemporary, literary, adult mystery, thriller, a haunting coming-of-age tale following the daughter of Vietnamese immigrants, Ronnie Nguyen, as she grapples with the weight of generational trauma while navigating the violent power of teenage girlhood. For fans of Jennifer's Body and Little Fires Everywhere. It's a summer before high school, and Romy Nguyen finds herself too young for work and too old for cartoons. Her days are spent in the small backyard, dozing off to trashy magazines on a plastic lawn chair. In the stark contrast stands her brother Tommy, the pride and joy of her immigrant parents, a popular honor student destined to be the first one in their family to graduate from college. The thought of Tommy leaving for college fills Ronnie with dread as she contemplates the quiet house she will be left alone in with her parents, May and Ba. And it seems like their parents only speak of their past in Vietnam through the lens of food, and the family's meals are a tapestry of cultural memory. In the aftermath of the war, May and Ba taught Tommy that meat was a dangerous luxury, a symbol of survival that should never be taken for granted. But when tragedy strikes, Ronnie's world is upended. Her sense of self and her understanding of her own family are shattered. A few nights later, she's at a party and a boy makes a move on her, it sounds like, an unwanted move. She's overtaken by a force larger than herself, a newfound power that comes with insatiable hunger for raw meat, a craving that is both a saving grace and a potential destroyer. What Hunger is a visceral emotional journey through the bursts and pitfalls of female rage. Ronnie's Vietnamese lineage and her mother's emotional memory play a crucial role in this tender ode to generational trauma and mother-daughter bonding. That one could be really good. 288 pages. August 12th, we have a new Hailey Piper. I have not read from this author. I think this may be the first one I'm going to try from her. This is horror, queer fiction, adult erotica, 288 pages. And it says it's Euphoria meets Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. This is what I'm talking about with the comp titles. Like, how? What? Of course, we need to read this. Following a couple whose search to spice up their sex life leads them down a path of madness. That's right. This sounds so good. Okay, so a kink-fixated couple, Carmen and Blanca, have been in a rut. That is until Blanca discovers the enigmatic smoke in an understreet drug den. I don't even know what an understreet drug den is, but it sounds scary. Who holds pages to a strange play called The King in Yellow. Read too much of the play and you'll fall into madness. But read just a little bit and pull back and it gives you the adrenaline rush of Survivor's euphoria. As the line blurs between the world Carmen knows and the one that she visits after reading from the play, she begins to desire more time in the other world, no matter what horrors she brings back with her. That sounds so good. That sounds so good. I have to read that. Next on August 12th, we have The House of Monstrous Women. For the record, I hate this cover, but it sounded good, so I put it on here. I don't want to judge it by the cover. 336 pages, and it's categorized under horror and gothic and historical fiction. A young woman is drawn into a dangerous game after being invited to the maze-like home of her childhood friend, a rumored witch, in this gothic horror set in 1986 Philippines. Interesting. Okay. In this game, there's one rule: survive. Orphaned after her father's political campaign ended in tragedy, Josephine is alone, taking care of the family home while her older brother is in Manila, where revolution brews. But an unexpected invitation from her childhood friend, Hiraya, offers an escape. Why don't you come and visit? We can play games like we used to. What kind of games did they used to play? If Josephine wins, she'll get whatever her heart desires. Her brother is invited too, and it's time they had a talk. Josephine's heard the dark whispers. Hariah is a witch, and her family spits curses. But still, she's just desperate enough to seize this chance at changing her destiny. Except Ranoko House is strange, labyrinthine, and dangerously close to the treacherous sea. A sickly sweet smell clings to the dimly lit walls, and veiled eyes follow Josephine through endless connecting rooms. The air is tense with secrets, and as the game continues, it becomes clear that Josephine doesn't have the whole truth. To save herself, she will have to play to win. But in this house, victory is earned with blood. A lush new voice in horror arrives in this riveting gothic set against the upheaval of 1986 Philippines and the People Power Revolution. Sounds interesting. 336 pages. Ooh, this one sounds so good too. On August 19th, The Once and Future Me, a novel by Melissa Pace. I don't know this author, but I am intrigued by the description. 384 pages, and it is genre bending as well. Science fiction, thriller, horror, mystery, psychological, so it's like everything. The comp title for this one is Dark Matter meets Girl Interrupted. How can you say no to that? How? In the spellbinding psychological thriller about a young woman teetering on the edge of reality. Virginia, 1954, a young woman wakes, agitated and confused, on a patient transport bus that is arriving at Hanover State Psychiatric Hospital. She remembers nothing of her life before this moment, none of the dark things that she must have seen or done that have forged her into such a skilled and cunning fighter. She's a fighter, apparently. Once she's subdued, doctors tell her she's Dorothy Fraser, a paranoid schizophrenic, committed to Hanover for treatments they hope will quell her increasingly violent delusions, which I'm guessing is probably not the case. She's certain they're wrong until disturbing visions begin to invade her reality of a dystopian future where frantic scientists urge her to complete the mission and save mankind. Convinced it's Hanover causing the hallucinations, she tells no one and focuses only on escape. Until there is a visitor, a man, whose loving face and touch she remembers. A man who knows all about her visions because he's spent years helping her cope with them. Her husband, Paul Fraser. Do we believe that? I don't know. Now she's sure of nothing. Caught between two realities. Believe in the future and she might save the world. Believe in her doctors and Paul and she might save herself. She's desperate for answers, but she'll have to harness the darkness inside her to get them, risking her freedom, her mind, and ultimately her life in this heart-stopping quest for the truth. This could be triggering for me because it sounds like she's just being gaslit over and over, but it sounds like it could be really good too. So I'm excited for that one. August 19th, we have a new Anya Allborn as well. She is a horror author. She tends to write a lot of like haunting type stories. This is called The Unseen. Anya Allborn delivers a novel that pushes the boundaries of horror into a new realm. This is 368 pages and it's just categorized under horror. So we're following Isla Hansen, a mother reeling from a devastating loss. She is beside herself when a mysteriously orphaned child appears on the outskirts of their secluded Colorado property. Although strange and unexplainable, the child's presence breathes new life into Isla. But as the child settles in, Isla's husband, Luke, and their 5 other children notice peculiarities that hint to something far beyond the ordinary. Anomalies that challenge the very fabric of reality itself. The tension between the Hansen household grows, and with it, the sense that there is something very wrong with this new kid in the house. A haunting tale that walks the line between the familiar and the unknown, drawing us into a chilling narrative where reality itself feels just out of reach. Could be cool. On August 26th, we have a new Catherine Faulkner. This is called The Break-In. After killing an intruder in self-defense, a wealthy London mother must unravel a terrifying mystery. 400 pages, so again on the longer side. Thriller, mystery, suspense, thriller, fiction. We're following Alice, who is a professional mother of one. She's hosting a play date at her upscale London home when a disturbed man breaks in. And with her child in the next room, Alice panics and kills him. an act later ruled to have been in self-defense. Everyone tries to encourage Alice to move forward in her life after that, but with strange comments appearing online and a mysterious phone call telling her that all is not as it seems, and with her husband, nanny, and friends all behaving strangely, Alice finds herself drawn to the mystery of who the intruder really was. And as she digs deeper, she discovers a trail of dark secrets that spiral closer to home than she could ever have imagined. Again, that sounds like a fun, summer thriller read. We have a new Darcy Coates, How Bad Things Can Get. It was supposed to be the party of a century, miles of idyllic white sand and beaches, lush jungle foliage, and a dark legend nobody dreamed might be all too true. Horror, thriller, mystery, adult summer suspense. It's 416 pages, a little bit on the longer side there. When an online influencer and several hundred of his most loyal fans land on Prosperity Island, the plan is simple. 5 days of elaborate games, drinking, and suntanned fun. A week in paradise should have been a welcome respite. The only survivor of an infamous cult, Ruth wants nothing more than to keep her head down and not draw attention to herself. She spent decades outrunning her blood-soaked childhood, and her identity is a closely held secret.
So why is she on this island with all these people then?
But then the true history of the island is revealed. Okay, maybe this is why. Along with its sinister connection to Ruth's past. As guests go missing and games turn deadly, Ruth and the rest of the attendees are forced to question whether they've really been invited to paradise or whether something much darker and far bloodier is waiting for them just beyond the bonfire's light. And that's it for August. We're going to move on to September now. And starting on September 2nd, we have Spider to the Fly by J.H. Markert. I have not read from this author. This sounded really intriguing, and I have heard of this author, so I think maybe I'll give him a chance. A true crime author helps in a desperate hunt for a killer. In this dark and twisted thriller from the deviously inventive horror author that Peter Ferris calls the clear heir to Stephen King. Okay, who's Peter Ferris? Clear heir to Stephen King? That's a big statement. I don't know about that. Oh, I haven't read them yet. Perfect for fans of cat and mouse serial killer thrillers like The Butcher and the Wren and The Jigsaw Man. We're following Elly Isles, and she first became obsessed with the I-64 murders when she saw her own face on one of the victims. Identical in every detail, the woman wasn't her, but she could have been. Compelled to discover the story behind her doppelganger's death, Elly wrote a best-selling true crime book about the serial killer dubbed The Spider. 4 years later, the spider still hasn't been caught, and his victim count is climbing. Many of the bodies remain unidentified, but with Elly's online network of true crime followers, that is slowly changing. Together, they've pooled information to create a massive database that tracks people at risk of becoming Jane and John Does, the homeless, the drug addicted, and the downtrodden, with the hopes that if they become victims, they might at least be identified. And it feels kind of like an invasion of privacy, but okay. Now that Elly has successfully identified multiple victims, the law enforcement task force tracking down the spider pulls her in to help. And after Elly's therapist is arrested for the murders,
interesting,
she is more determined than ever to catch the spider.
Well, then isn't it her therapist?
An engrossing serial killer thriller perfect for fans of The Whisper Man. 352 pages. Crime fiction, true crime, serial killer, horror. Moving on to September 9th. This is one of my absolute most anticipated, and that is the new Rachel Harrison. It's called Play Nice. Loving this cover. A woman must confront the demons of her past when she attempts to fix up her childhood home in this devilishly clever take on the haunted house novel from Rachel Harrison. This is 336 pages, and it is categorized under gothic fiction, horror, thriller, and adult fiction. And we're following Cleo Louise Barnes. She leads a picture-perfect life as a stylist and influencer. But beneath the glossy veneer, she harbors a not-so-glamorous secret that she grew up in a haunted house. This is giving Home Before Dark. This is giving Model Home. But I know Rachel Harrison's going to do it her own way too. She grew up in a haunted house. Well, not haunted, possessed. After her parents' messy divorce, her mother Alex moved Cleo and her sisters into a house occupied by a demon. Or at least that's what their mom claimed. That's not what Cleo's sisters remember or what the courts determined when they stripped Alex of custody after she went off the deep end. But Alex was insistent, and she even wrote a book about her experience in the house. After Alex's sudden death, the supposedly possessed house passes to Cleo and her sisters. Where her sisters see childhood trauma, Chloe sees an opportunity for house flipping content. Only as the home makeover process begins, Cleo discovers there might be some truth in her mother's claims. As memories resurface and Cleo finally reads her mother's book, the presence in the house becomes more real and more sinister, revealing ugly truths that threaten to shake Cleo's beautiful life to its very foundation. I can't wait for this. It sounds so good. Again, on September 9th, we have You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White. The title is what caught me on this one. I was like, whoa, who is seeing me right now? But it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be about. An alien, the comp titles again, though, are perfect. Alien meets Midsommar. Like, how can I not be interested in that? In this chilling debut adult novel from award-winning author Andrew Joseph White about identity, survival, and transformation amidst the alien invasion in rural West Virginia. Is this queer? Yes. Okay, yeah. Oh, I think this is following a trans person, perhaps. Horror, queer, adult science fiction fantasy. It's going to be genre bending for sure. Oh yeah, it's also kind of like future dystopian. So festering masses of worms and flies have taken root in dark corners across Appalachia. Blech. In exchange for unwavering loyalty and fresh corpses, these hives offer a few struggling humans salvation, a fresh start. It's an offer that none refuse. Crane is grateful. Among his hive's followers, Crane has found a chance to transition, to never speak again, to live a life that won't destroy him. He even met Levi, a handsome ex-Marine and brutal killer who treats him like a real man, mostly. But when Levi gets Crane pregnant and the hive demands the child's birth no matter the cost, oh gosh, Crane's desperation to make it stop will drive the community that saved him into a devastating spiral that can only end in blood. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's like Kerry for a trans man. Wait, this sounds so good. This could be absolutely devastating, but have so much to say. I'm intrigued. How long is this? Oh, it doesn't say how long it is. Interesting. All right, well, that's up there for sure. This next one also really caught my attention, The Wasp Trap. This is on September 16th by Mark Edwards. I don't know this author again, but it sounded so good. A dinner party in a beautiful Notting Hill townhouse turns into a sinister game as 6 old friends are forced to spill their darkest secrets or else. This one is 336 pages and it's categorized under mystery, mystery thriller, fiction, psychological thriller, suspense. So we're following 6 friends who reunite in London to celebrate the life of their recently deceased ex-employer, a professor that brought them all together in 1999 to help build a dating website based on psychological testing. I love this concept. What is meant to be a night of bittersweet nostalgia soon becomes a twisted and deadly game when the old friends find themselves held at gunpoint. They are given an ultimatum: reveal their darkest secrets to the group or pick each other off one by one. It soon becomes clear that their predicament is related to their shared past. The love questionnaire that they helped develop in 1999 for the dating website was also turned into a tool for weeding out the wasp trap, which I don't know what that is. This and the other tragic events of that summer long ago may help reveal the truth behind a killer hiding in plain sight. Alternating between the past and present with a colorful ensemble of characters, The Wasp Trap is a fast-paced and twisty thrill ride that is perfect for fans of Lucy Foley and Alice Feeney. Sounds so good. Can't wait. Ooh, yes, this next one too. On September 23rd, we have a new Sarah Gailey. I love how Sarah Gailey writes. This is called Spread Me. It's a darkly seductive tale of survival after a routine probe at a research station turns deadly, and when a team discovers a strange specimen in search of a warm place to stay. This is going to be so much body horror. 208 pages. This is on the shorter side, almost novella length, categorized under horror, science fiction, thriller, science fiction, fantasy. We're following Kinsey, who has the perfect job as the team lead on a remote research outpost. She loves the solitude and the way the desert keeps her far away from the temptations teeming out in the civilian world. Oh, what kind of temptations? When her crew discovers a mysterious specimen buried deep in the sand, Kinsey breaks quarantine and brings it back into the lab.
You shouldn't do that, Kinsey.
But the longer it's inside, the more her carefully controlled life begins to unravel. Temptation has found her after all, and it can't be ignored any longer. One by one, Kinsey's team realizes the thing they're studying is in search of a new host. And one of them is the perfect candidate.
Congratulations! You have been promoted!
And that's all we get. That's all we get. 208 pages. Can't wait for that one. Sounds so good. This next one is, I believe, the second book in this series, mystery series that is inspired by my hero, Frances Glessner Leigh, who is the mother of forensics. If you've not heard of her, I'm not going to go in on it again. This is not the FGL era, but Frances Glessner Leigh was famous for making little miniature crime scenes that were perfectly to scale and were used as a reference or a teaching guide for teaching detectives how to walk into a crime scene and investigate. Anyway, this author has taken those crime scenes and, as an ode to FGL, created this book series that relates to each different crime scene. I read the first one with the book club last year or the year before, and it was pretty good. I liked it, so I wouldn't mind continuing on. Inspired by the true story of Frances Glessner Leigh, whose miniature replicas of crime scenes are still used to train forensic investigators today, this follow-up novel to Death in the Details continues the adventures of intrepid amateur sleuth Maple Bishop. I don't want to spoil anything if you're interested in reading the first one, Death in the Details, but I really did enjoy that one, and I just love that this is about Frances Glessner Leigh because I'm obsessed with her. She is one of my hyperfixations. Having said that, let's move on to September 23rd, A Killer Wedding by Joan O'Leary. Wildly witty and wickedly fun, A Killer Wedding is a juicy debut whodunit about toxic family dynamics hidden beneath the surface of a billionaire-level wealth that reads like the Devil Wears Prada protagonist played a game of Clue at the White Lotus Hotel. Again, these comp titles, how can you say no? Christine can't believe her luck. The iconic Gloria Beaufort, founder of the billion-dollar beauty empire Glow, has personally chosen her to cover her grandson's wedding for Bespoke, the cult fashion magazine that every A-list bride dreams of being featured in. A career-making scoop and a free trip to a castle turned five-star hotel on the Emerald Isle feels too good to be true. Because it is. Dun, dun, dun. Gloria, the head of this corporation, is found dead on the very first morning of the celebratory weekend. And her entire family wants to keep the death a secret and for the wedding to march on. Wow. When Gloria's heirs issue a chilling warning to Christine to keep things quiet, she can't help but wonder if one of them is guilty. There's the son who's hiding a damaging lawsuit, the resentful daughter-in-law, the grandson who had a few too many run-ins with the law, the ambitious granddaughter who's hiding more than one secret, and Gloria's favorite grandchild, the too good to be true groom. As Christine navigates a world where glamour masks grimy secrets and everyone she meets is a suspect, she realizes that among the glitzy elite, nothing is as it seems. Set against the dazzling backdrop of ultimate luxury and the endless reveal of surprises, A Killer Wedding is a fast-paced, humorous mystery that proves you'll never forget your wedding day, especially if it starts with a murder. 336 pages, mystery, thriller, suspense. Next on September 23rd is arguably my absolute most anticipated book of the year, and that is We Love You, Bunny by Mona Awad. I cannot wait for this. This is a follow-up. It's a prequel and a sequel to Bunny by Mona Awad. Mona Awad's one of my absolute favorite authors. I think she's brilliant. I just can't wait to see where she goes with this. We're following Samantha Heather Mackey, who is our main character in the original Bunny. This is one where I don't feel like it's too much to give away to read you what's happening in this, because the first one is just so confusing anyway. You don't even really know what's happening. I'm gonna skip a few parts, but it says when We Love You, Bunny opens, Sam has just published her first novel to critical acclaim. But at a New England stop on her book tour, her one-time frenemies, furious at the way they've been portrayed, kidnap her. Now a captive audience, it's her and our turn to hear the bunny's side of the story. So this is going to be mostly probably in the bunny's point of view. One by one, they take turns holding the axe and recount the birth throes of their unholy alliance and the discovery of their creative powers. With a bound and gagged Sam, we embark on a wickedly intoxicating journey into the heart of dark academia, a fairy tale slasher that explores the wonder and horror of creation itself, not to mention the transformative powers of love and friendship bunny. I can't wait. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, hasn't read the first book, Bunny, go into it with trepidation. Go into it knowing that you're gonna feel like you're losing your mind and it's not really making sense, but there's so much to talk about if you do, and people either love it or hate it. It's one of those things that's very divisive. So it's not something that I can like openly recommend, but I think if you like my taste in books, then you're probably more likely to enjoy Bunny. But Mona Awad is just one of a kind. Absolutely brilliant. Let's move on to the next one. We have The Killer Question by Janice Hallett. I've not yet read a book by Janice Hallett, but I'm starting to feel like I'm getting behind. Like I need to start catching up. She's had a lot of praise lately, so I am interested in this one, especially because it has to do with a trivia game, like a beer pub trivia type of situation. It's 448 pages, so it's a little on the longer side. This is categorized under mystery, mystery thriller, adult fiction, cozy mystery, and crime. Sue and Mal Eastwood, they run an isolated rural pub called The Case is Altered, where a weekly trivia game has revived its flagging fortunes. That is until a body is found in the nearby river. Soon after, a mysterious new team shows up and shakes up the diverse field of regulars by scoring top marks in every round, every week. Meanwhile, Sue and Mal have a secret of their own. Before arriving here, they were caught up in a secret police operation, which meant they had to leave town. And whatever happened back then seems to have finally caught up with them. 5 years later, the pub lies derelict. Oh no. And their nephew Dominic is determined to make a documentary about their story. Oh, what happened to this unassuming pub? And can a single question really kill? It's revealed through quiz categories, phone messages, and email correspondence. So it sounds like it's going to be multimedia, and this is going to be one that I'm going to want to have the physical copy for too, so that I can have fun with all of the different ways that they are telling this story. Just now realizing that this is saying September 4th. So this might be out September 4th. It might be out September 23rd. When I edit, I will adjust it up here. Either way, it's supposed to come out in September. Maybe it got pushed back. That happens a lot. Next one sounds really interesting too. I at first was turned off by this cover, though having read the synopsis now, it's making sense to me. Gothic feminist body horror in 2 timelines revolving around 3 anatomical Venuses. Ultra-realistic wax figures of women that come to life at night and murder the men who have wronged them. How much fun does this sound like? 384 pages. This is historical fiction because it goes back in time. The first timeline is set in Seoul in present day, and the antiques dealer, Elise's task is nearly complete. She has at last secured Elizabeth, the third and final anatomical Venus, crafted in 18th century London and modeled after real-life sex workers to entice male medical students. These eerie wax figures, known as slashed beauties, carry unsavory lore. Wow. Legend has it that the figures are bewitched and come to life at night to murder men who have wronged them. Now, Elise embarks to England, where she knows what she has to do. She must sever her cursed connection to the Venuses once and for all. Then we are going to London in 1763. Abandoned and penniless in Covent Garden, wide-eyed Eleanor and another young woman, Emily, are taken under the wing of beautiful and beguiling Elizabeth, one of the city's most highly desired courtesans among the rich and powerful. But as Eleanor is seduced deeper into a web of money, materialism, and men, it seems that Elizabeth may not be the savior she appears to be. Not Elizabeth. Come on, girl. As the timelines begin to intersect, it becomes clear that the women's stories are linked in deeper, darker ways than it initially seems. And the only method for Elise to end the witchcraft that binds her legacy is to gather all 3 models in one place and destroy them. However, these haunted, murderous dolls might not be ready to burn. Oh, geez. Yeah, this sounds really good. On September 30th, we have the October film Haunt by Michael Wehunt. This claims its horror movie meets the scope and emotion of Stephen King in this heart-pounding magnetic tour de force about a woman pulled into a cult horror film that is determined to have a sequel. 336 pages, and it is horror, thriller, fiction, contemporary, adult fiction. 10 years ago, Jory Stroud was the rising star of the October film Haunt, a trio of horror enthusiasts who camped out at the filming locations of their favorite scary movies, sharing their love of horror through their popular blog. But after A Night in the Graveyard from Proof of Demons, perhaps the most chilling cult film ever made, directed by the enigmatic Helene Enriquez, everything unraveled. Now, Jory has built an isolated life with her young son in Vermont. In the devastating wake of her viral, truth-stretching Proof of Demons blog entry, hysteria, internet backlash, and the death of a young woman, Jory has put it all, along with her intense love for the horror genre, behind her. Until a videotape appears in the mail, Jory fears someone might be filming her, and the Enriquez's obsessives, who would do anything for the reclusive director, began to cross lines in shocking ways. It seems Enriquez is making a new kind of sequel, and Jory is the final girl. As the dangers grow even more unexpected and strange, Jory must search for answers before the proof of the movie's title finds her and takes everything that she loves. This riveting and layered horror novel unleashes supernatural terror in a world where truth can be manipulated and nothing is as it seems. 336 pages, contemporary thriller, fiction, and horror. And last but not least, on September 30th, we have The Hunger We Pass Down by Jen Sukfong Lee. Jordan Peele's Us meets The School for Good Mothers. Another amazing comp. In this horror-tinged intergenerational saga, as a single mother's doppelganger forces her to confront the legacy of violence that has shaped every woman in their family. Interesting. Horror, fiction, thriller, and adult. 304 pages. Single mother Alice Chow is drowning. With a booming online cloth diaper shop, her resentful teenage daughter Luna, and her screen-obsessed son Luca, Alice can never get everything done in a day. It's all she can do to just collapse on the couch with a bottle of wine every night. It's a relief when Alice wakes up one morning and everything has been done. The counters are clear, the kids' rooms are tidy, orders are neatly packed and labeled, but no one confesses that they've helped her. And Alice doesn't remember staying up late, so someone or something has been doing her chores for her, which I'm sure sounds amazing, but I feel like she's gonna have to pay that back in some way, right? Alice should be uneasy, but the extra time lets her connect with her children and with her hard-edged mother, who begins to share their haunted family history from Alice's great-grandmother, a comfort woman during World War II. What is a comfort woman? But the family demons, both real and subconscious, are about to become impossible to ignore. Sharp and incisive, The Hunger We Pass Down traces the ways intergenerational trauma transforms from the mother to daughter and asks what it might take to break that cycle. I really love books that are discussing this generational trauma. I think it's something that we need to talk more about, to be frank, as far as like mental health and the things that we are given that we are responsible for, but it's not our fault, but we are responsible for that. That's it, the 40 books that I'm excited to read that are coming out in July, August, and September of 2025. Thank you so much if you have watched this till the end. I appreciate you guys so much. Of course, if you know of any books that I'm missing, please let me know down in the comments. Feel free to chat me up down there. In the Midnight Society Book Club, we are going to be reading Immaculate Conception by Ling Huang for the month of July. If you're interested in joining, it is a free bi-monthly book club that is completely online, and we'll be meeting on this channel at the end of July to talk about this book, which I'm very much excited for. So if you're interested in that, feel free to look me up on Instagram at the Midnight Society Book Club. That's where you're going to find the most up-to-date information on that subject. We also have t-shirts, graphic tees for the book club. If you're interested in those are always linked above and below. All of my links are always down below. And again, you're also going to find the links for these books, so feel free to check that out. And y'all, I'm going to see you next time. I'm moving, so the next time you see me, I'm going to be in a different space. It's probably going to look just like this though. I will see you then. Don't forget that life is short, so read Riley. Cheers and goodbye!